Welcome to the podcast series, Small Business Survival Conversations. Through our weekly conversations, we hope to provide you with strategies and insights, knowledge and expertise to enlighten you as you work to build and grow your business. Here are your hosts, Anna Steinfest and Dr. Michael Troyer.
Hello, Anna. I'm happy to have you all listening in. We hope you learned something today.
In fact, we were discussing a very interesting title, Time Blocking as a Small Business Owner Tool.
Very important, we think, for you to perhaps put this into use for yourselves. It's a way to manage your most precious resource called your time. How do you make effective use of your time? And we both think this is a pretty neat tool. We talked a little bit about it once before, but we want to give you a little bit more on it today.
And Michael, before we start our conversation and dive into the topic, I really would like to cite Stephen Covey. And I know that a lot of our listeners probably have heard, read, or utilized some of his tools. But what he said about time, which you indicated already, this is your most precious resource, because money, you can make more money. And some of the other resources, however, you cannot have 48 hours a day. So what Covey says is the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. So today we will teach you how to do it.
And as long as you're quoting Stephen Covey, I'll throw one more thing in. He said that the main thing is to keep the main thing, meaning we tend to get distracted. We get all over the place sometimes. I do. I'll admit that helps you, that I'm not always on target with my day and how I use it.
Oh, I have to admit that too, Michael, because,
right.
I start working and you have a colleague coming to you and you start talking and distracting from your project. And it's like you looked at the clock and it's like 20, 30 minutes later.
Or I see those little things on the edge of my desk that I didn't get at yesterday afternoon. And that wouldn't take very long. I'll break into this for just a moment to get those things done. I'll answer those 2 emails and I'll make that phone. No. We've just interrupted perhaps the most important thing we're going to do today, to do those little things that distract us. So I like this concept, and I want people to think about, if you think of the calendar for a year, and each month is a series of little blocks, and each of those blocks represents a week of that month.
So you're right into what is a time blocking for our listeners. I just wanted to make sure that, like the listeners, know what we're trying to give them as a tool today, time blocking. So Michael, explain how does it work, the time blocking?
I want you to think, as I said, of the calendar and all those days of the month that are little squares. Now take one of those little squares that's a day and break that into a series of little squares that represent how you use your day, from 6 a.m. when we start till 5 p.m. when we quit. And each one of those hours is a time block. And I want you to think also about colors. So there are certain activities you need to block out time for, because they're really strategic for your business. There's a bit of urgency to get this particular challenge completed, finished. And what color would you paint that then? Would you make that a bright green because it means money in the door? Would you paint it red because it's really urgent? Whatever your color would be, anything that fits into the area of a really strategic and critical activity that you need to complete today, put that color on that block. And anywhere else during the day that you're going to touch that or something like that, let's say it's red, you're going to paint those squares red. I think that what that needs to mean is that Anna can't call me and interrupt me, because I'll ignore a phone call, because I've set myself in my office and closed the door, and I'm just going to get this thing done before I interrupt my mind. And the same for Anna, doing that to me. It's not one way, it's both. But the point is, you're really closing yourself off so you get that work done. And then obviously there's some other categories, right, Anna?
Yes. I mean, the operations where you'll get interrupted And, usually during that time, it's more of a routine task when you're doing this routinely, and you have to do it every day. So during that time, when you schedule it, this is pretty much not urgent or extremely important. You have to get that done. It has to be done, but they call it, one author in fact call it more of like a shallow work. So you can get interrupted, but that will not take you away from he referred to the other part, the strategic, which Michael said needed to be done, is more of a deep work.
And in the routine work that Anna's talking about, I like the concept of people batching it. So there's some routine work I need to do. I could take one of those square blocks that represents an hour of my time today. Let's say I use yellow as my color, and that's where I'm going to do 3 or 4 things that are all fairly similar. They're routine, but they have to get done. So I'll try to get them done in that hour, or maybe later in the day, there's another yellow block where I finish up these routine tasks. I've got to talk with 2 of my coworkers. I've got to do a performance review. All right, I know those aren't routine, but in another way they are. They're not as strategic. They're operational. So you put them in the yellow box.
Yes, and if you utilize it, utilizing a calendar like a Google Calendar, for example, it talks to your phone, because you probably, I don't know what kind of phone you have, but I have an iPhone. So usually when my meetings or when I blocked some of this time, my phone will remind me, hey, do you want to push the focus button, where it uses like a do not disturb. So the phone is no longer ringing. And again, it communicates with your calendar. So you can utilize that, because again, you should have interrupt time finishing one urgent project or something you need to do that.
Notice, by the way, that Anna is using her iPhone much like we would use a computer calendar, which is a smart way to do it. So we've got our phone helping to be our assistant to keep us organized, avoiding the distractions that mess up our day every day. Then there's a third category we can put in here, and it could be you could do it a lame pink or a shallow color or whatever it was. These are the things I call got to be done things. I've got a client. I know that when I leave him a message, I won't hear from him until 11 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Those are when he answers emails. He doesn't do it the rest of the day because emails are an incredible disruptor of getting other things done. And as long as you get back that day, nobody's going to pay any attention and think, oh, he's 3 hours late. He didn't get back to me right away. Well, sorry, if that makes you think that you're not important, I can't say that that's fair to me, but so be it. So yeah, my emails and getting back on phone calls, I block those into certain parts of the day. In fact, I turn off my email much of the day because if I hear a ring, I'm going to want to see who emailed me or texted me. On my phone, in fact, I have a little bird chirp, one little chirp. It's easy to ignore a chirp rather than an alarm sound. So that lets me ignore those texts until I want to take the time to do that. So it's really categorizing your work into these 3 categories: the strategic, the things that are really significant for your business; the routine, that's a different color. And I'm assuming your iPhone or your Google Calendar or whatever you have, you can use colors to help you see those things. And I really like the fact your phone says, do you want to get to this and focus on it? That's neat. I may have to get an iPhone. And then the things that have to be done. But they're not going to affect the strategic outcomes of your firm at nearly the same level as the first category. So
we would like to hear from you. What kind of time management tool are you using? I mean, recently we have been using the time blocking and we have been extremely happy with that. That's why we wanted to share our experience with that. So we hope we helped you today with one tool your small business can survive. Don't hesitate to email us or contact us. You can find our contact information on Small Business Survival Conversations on Facebook.
One last thought, too. Think about doing this at night, just before you read a good book. go to your phone or your computer, your tablet, whatever, lay out, and you could change colors on some of these and move these in different places on tomorrow's calendar, but do it. That's the important thing, but do it. Organize tomorrow just before you go to that good book you're going to read that's going to make you fall asleep after you get one sentence right.
I like your final action step, do it. Because I know that a lot of you already know that. Are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
And let us know the results.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much. And we will be with you shortly. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Small Business Survival Conversation podcast. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. And don't forget to join us next week for another episode. In the meantime, hook up with us on our Facebook group at Small Business Survival Tools and Tips. Till next time, thank you for listening.